Thanks for clicking on Wayne.com. As always, Blake Sebring joining us on a lovely
And where were you
Monday
last week?
afternoon. Somebody has to take care of the girls.
Oh,
my wife,
I volunteered so many times.
My wife had a spa weekend, so like the great husband I am, she was down with one of her girlfriends doing massages and pedicures and all that stuff. That leaves me to make sure the household doesn't.
And they just beat you up, don't they?
They do. And
love it.
I need an extra day to recover from that.
There you go.
As far as the Komets go, man, heck of a week.
They need an extra day to recover from last week.
Well, all the celebrations from all the goals that they've scored, exuding a lot of energy, which I think any Komets fan would take. 7 points in 4 games. They're 6-0-1 in their last 7.
It's like 10-1-1 over 12.
And we saw a lot of offense Wednesday. We saw a lot of offense Friday. They scored 5 goals Saturday and then 3 in a shootout loss on Sunday. What is your takeaway from the offensive explosion that we really saw starting in the middle of the week and continuing mostly through the weekend?
They've been doing it for 12 games. I mean, and the thing of it is, I still think they're getting better offensively. Think about it this way. When Artie Tinulin comes back, where do you put him? When Daniel Maggio comes back, where do you put him? When, you don't have to play Jamie Shaftsman on defense, where do you put him? I mean, those are 3 quality players that you're going to get back. Mm-hmm. And how do they fit in, and do they just make everybody that much better again? And the other thing is, 2 other things. Justin Hodgman is still getting back into game shape, and he's still a point a game right now. And their power play has got to get better, and it is. I mean, they're working on it so much; it's got to get better. They're getting many more scoring chances than they have been the last month or so. They're starting to crank that up again, so that should get better as well.
Yeah, as long as somebody doesn't make 60 saves against them, they're going to put.
That was insane.
They're going to put the puck in the back of the net quite a bit. One of the things that really stuck out to me about the 2 games against Wichita, where they outscored the Thunder 17-7, was that on Wednesday they scored 9 goals with 8 different guys, and then on Friday they scored 8 goals with 7 different guys. So it wasn't just one guy getting hot. It wasn't just one guy with a hat trick. I mean, it was pretty impressive all across the board.
Well, like we've talked before, now they have 2 number 1 lines. And then you could argue the third line of Desjardins and Marcotte and who's the other guy? Well, I guess Shasma at times and stuff. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could argue that has been their best line those 2 games too. I mean, and that's the third line technically, but they're as good as a high number 2, a low number 1 line. Anyway, so, if you're the opposing coach, who do you put out your best defense against?
You mentioned Shaftsman there. The Shaftsman defense experiment, I should say, has been quite successful.
Yeah, he's like +8 on defense. It's astounding, which in a way tells you how much of a team guy Jamie is. Mm-hmm. The other thing it tells you is how darn good Ryan Lowney is. I mean, you could make the argument very easily that Ryan has been their best defenseman for 2 months. He's had like 2 minus games out of his last 26 now. That's insane.
That's not terrible.
This is a rookie. This is insane. And he just goes out and plays either side, and he just does his job and protects his partner, and he does a great job at it.
Well, while we're talking about veteran guys, Justin Hodgman, you mentioned he's still getting his feet under him. It's hard to simulate what you're going to have in a game.
You can't do 4 and 5 on practice.
No way to do it. No way to do it. But what have you seen from him, and what has impressed you, and what do you think K's are going to be able to get out of him in the near future going forward?
A couple things that really jumped out at me was he's getting better at faceoffs. He was on the ice for the tying goal. Mm-hmm. It was his faceoff, and he knew right away. He turned right, he knew right away he'd messed up. And the other thing is his reach, his size is so impressive out there. He's like having 2 forecheckers out there because he's always nudging the puck ahead with his stick because the other guy can't reach it. He's just fantastic at that. He has the physical tools, like we said before, that nobody else in this league has right now as a center, as a big center, as a center who can skate and move. Now, he's got to work on dishing to his teammates and setting them up more. The pass he made to Marco Waugh yesterday was beautiful. Mm-hmm. He's made a couple of great passes to Trevor Cheek. It's just, if he becomes more of a playmaking center first, oh my gosh, that line's going to be good for 3 goals a game.
I want to talk about another veteran because Sidlowski now up to 60 points. He's leading the ECHL. Where is he in terms of MVP race in the ECHL as a total?
That's going to be really hard, and for one reason only. Michael Jolie of Colorado has been amazing, and he's only been there for half the season, and I think he's second or third in the points race. He leads the league in goals. He's been called up and back and forth a million times. And when he's there, Colorado wins. When he's not there, they can't score. I mean, he's been amazing. Sean, the most impressive thing about Sean, I think he's plus 25 now.
Something like that.
And you consider that, okay, most scorers of that level, their plus minus is awful because they're getting all their points on the power play. That's not happening with Sean. He's getting a lot of them 5-on-5, and it's just astonishing the kind of overall season he's putting together.
Garrett Thompson scores his 21st goal this past week. That sets a new career high for him. Where have you seen him grow, and what has impressed you about Garrett Thompson this season?
The forecheck is amazing. It's so much fun. We always talk about watching Garrett in front of the net and how he's got the man of a million moves.
He's a big guy.
Yeah, and he can skate. I can't believe he hasn't been called up, really. I mean, I'm really shocked because he is a big guy that can skate and will play whatever role that you want him to play. I'm really surprised he hasn't been called up.
Well, one guy that has spent the majority of this season up in the AHL has been Trevor Cheek. He scored a goal in all 4 of the games last week. What have you seen from Trevor Cheek, and what makes him able to fit in seamlessly? Because he's played 9 games for the K's this year, and he's got 9 points.
I think he loves playing the wing. I mean, he's really, really good on the wing. He doesn't have as many defensive responsibilities there. He's not taking all the face-offs. He's not having to worry about that. He's just going up and down his wing, and he is a challenge for a defenseman at this level who don't know where he's going, and they don't know how to deal with him. And how many moves did he have this week where he didn't get the goal, but they were all like, whoa, moves, He had a ton of those, and he still, like you said, got 9 points.
When you take a look at, obviously, injury news, Taylor Crunk, losing him, who are some of the guys that are going to kind of fill in that role, and what does it mean to have lost him for the season?
I haven't seen that much need for it, you know. The thing that they're going to miss Trevor the most, I think, is on the penalty kill. I mean, here's a guy who blocks 4 shots a practice. Every practice he's out there blocking shots. And he's a guy who just sacrifices the body no matter what on the penalty kill. And that is something they need to get better at and be more willing to do. And he was just a great example of that.
Well, we got a Valentine's Day night game this week, Wednesday. Indy Fuel coming to the Komets, traveling up I-69 for that. Friday at Wheeling, and then Saturday, Quad City. Back here again. We've seen a lot of Quad City over the last 2 weeks.
We're going to see C.J. Mott again, I bet you.
I would think so. What are you expecting to see from the Komets this week starting on Wednesday?
You know what? Last time they had a couple game loss, and I said they're going to get hot. They've won 10 out of 12. I think they're going to take this loss from Sunday, and they're going to buckle down on defense, which, as I said in Thursday's column, that the offense has been fantastic, but it has been covering up some defensive problems, some defensive deficiencies. And I'm not talking about the defense men. I'm talking about the forwards getting back and being more attention to detail. I think they'll be much better this week on the defensive side of the puck than they have been. And I still think they're going to score.
When you take a look at the standings, we're literally two-thirds of the way through the season this week. So 3 points behind Toledo. They played 1 less game than Toledo. But they have obviously established themselves as one of the elite teams in the conference.
In the league.
One of the 3, I guess you would say. How do you see the rest of the season playing out, knowing there's a third left to go? And the Komets, they're, as I mentioned, 6-0-1, and the way that their offense is playing, you don't want to peak too early.
No.
But
and
you
I don't think they'll have to worry about that because, you're going to somehow – there's so much competition for playing time right now. I mean – Justin McDonald was wonderful last week in the few chances he got. Jamie moving back to defense was really good, allowed Jason Binkley to rest tonight. There's so much competition for playing time right now. You got to produce, and they all know it, and they're all having so much fun doing it. I mean, to get 63 shots, and they were good shots too, on a 4th game in 5 nights like that when you didn't get back till 8:30 in the morning from the game before, that was insanely fun to watch. I mean, that kind of effort, and that's kind of what they've been doing. They haven't had many off games at all.
29 in the second period alone. I mean, that's a pretty busy period.
Yeah, it was. It was like the third highest points or shots on goal in a period in a Komets game ever. And they were good shots too. I mean, I'm taking pictures, and there's 1 or 2 guys in front of the guy every shot. He's just making them. It was unbelievable.
Final question: outlook for the final third of the season. What is it for you? What
there's
do
a
they
10-game stretch coming up at the end of February and early March that's going to determine the whole season. They go west to I believe it's Wichita and Kansas City for 2, and then Quad City. Then they come home for 3 good games. Kalamazoo's one of them. I think Cincinnati's one of them. And then they go east for Reading and Adirondack and Worcester. Worcester. And that 10-game stretch right there is going to determine everything, because the schedule is easier for Toledo than it is for the Komets. They just got to keep rolling, keep doing what they're doing. And it might come down to that last weekend regular season game.
Well, if they can keep things going on Valentine's Day nights, I think all Komets fans would be happy. My goodness, the offense was ridiculous last week. We'll see if they can. It was
so much fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll see if they can continue it into this week. For Blake, I'm Glenn. I will see you next Monday right here on Inside the Zone.